Special Counsel Robert Hur, or maybe that's pronounced her, investigated whether or not Joe Biden mishandled classified documents and concluded essentially that yes, he had, but that no charges would be filed because Joe Biden is essentially not competent to stand trial. Well, that wasn't the exact conclusion. The exact conclusion was that putting forth charges would be meaningless because a jury would be likely to view Biden as too incompetent and too dementia-addled to possibly be culpable for his actions. This is in light of the fact that during interviews that were conducted for this investigation, it was noticed that Joe Biden had no idea what years he had served as vice president. Very easy, by the way, to know that. It was 2008 to 2016. Joe Biden also had no recollection of the specific year or even a nearby year as to when his son, Beau Biden, had died. So this is just the latest bit of proof that Joe Biden has deteriorated to the point where he is not fit to serve. And I have had concerns about Joe Biden's mental fitness, his acuity to do the job for quite some time now. I brought this up during the campaign against Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, also very old man, but Bernie Sanders still in command of his mental faculties, which is very clear in interviews and in conversations that we've seen Bernie Sanders conduct. It's equally clear that Joe Biden is no longer in command of these faculties. It's very clear that Joe Biden has lost more than a step at this point. My concerns about Joe Biden's mental acuity have only become exacerbated as time has passed, and we've seen that he has deteriorated steadily throughout his first term as president. And I also have similar concerns about Donald Trump. We have seen Donald Trump make ridiculous statements. We have seen Donald Trump lose his thread of thought as he begins a sentence in one place, ends in an entirely different place. His speeches have basically become long and completely disjointed rambles that sort of ebb and flow into different topics. And eventually we're left wondering, what the hell did I just hear? And the answer, of course, is nothing. You just heard nothing. So I have to ask once again, how has it come to this? How have we arrived at this place in the history of our country where we, the American people, are being asked to choose between two demented old men? Demented in the traditional sense of, having dementia. Also demented in the sense of being, human demons walking around, causing evil and havoc, but that's another matter entirely. I think that this status quo of two dementia-addled lunatics competing for the office of the leader of the most powerful nation on the face of the earth, that status quo strikes me as being dangerous to American security, dangerous to American prosperity, dangerous to America's standing in the world, and dangerous to American lives. We cannot elect either of these two men to power, and if we do, in fact, elect one of them, which it seems as though we almost certainly will, then we must have a death wish as a nation. Because a vote for either one of these men is a vote, in my opinion, for misery, for confusion, for humiliation on the international stage, and not the good kind of humiliation, not where the dominatrix is, swatting your balls or something. I'm talking, the bad kind of humiliation, right? I have to clarify because we have a lot of lefties in this audience, and you know how we are. We have no choice, in my opinion, but to forge some sort of third path forward. Unfortunately, it seems that even our third-party candidates that are supposed to represent some sort of other option, even they are all in their 70s. Like RFK Jr. would be 71 on Inauguration Day. Cornel West would be 72. Jill Stein would be 74. So I have to ask, when did we become a country doomed to be ruled over by the ancient and decrepit? When did we become a mummyocracy? We might as well elect fucking Emotep to be our leader at this point. He's less of a mummy than some of these fucks. Most presidents in history entered office in their mid-40s to late 50s, somewhere in that range. Now, occasionally we'd have one that was a little bit younger, early 40s maybe. Occasionally we'd have one that was a little bit older, into their 60s. But this phenomenon of electing people into their 70s and even their 80s is very recent in American history. And it's a very worrisome trend in my book. I like the idea of the president being in their 40s or 50s, because I think at that age you have the wisdom and experience that comes with age, but you also have the mental flexibility that comes with youth. So to me, 40s and 50s is very ideal, like a sweet spot for president. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't consider younger, we shouldn't consider older, but that should be for exceptional cases. Joe Biden is not an exceptional case. Donald Trump is not an exceptional case, unless you mean to say exceptionally bad, exceptionally brain-rotted, exceptionally stupid, exceptionally unfit for the job, maybe. But what's wrong with us that this is what we churn out? What's wrong with us that this is the end result of all of our political posturing and battling? And, supposedly we're at war for the soul of this country. And we're each fighting to put it in the hands of someone who is incompetent, ancient, and just completely unprepared for the job, unprepared for the task at hand. So listen, I'm a leftist. I have no love for any Democratic politician. But if I'm going to be asked to do this arithmetic of lesser of two evils and vote for the lesser of two evils, then I know who I would be willing to cast it for. Gavin Christopher Newsom should take up the mantle of leadership in the Democratic Party and save us from this Biden train wreck, and he should become the 47th president of the United States of America. My reasons are all completely superficial. He's in his 50s. He has the face, he has the voice, he has all of the superficial traits that America could want in a president. He's got the experience of governing America's largest state in terms of population and in terms of economy. He's got experience on the national debate stage. Remember that ridiculous debate he did with Ron DeSantis, where he wiped the floor with Ron DeSantis' punk ass, I might add. Not that that's really much of a bragging right. DeSantis was an charismatic piece of shit that never should have even been put on the national stage. If the Democratic Party has any brains in its head and has any desire to save itself, then I think that it will pivot to Gavin Newsom as quickly as humanly possible, even though I personally, as a leftist, see Gavin Newsom as yet another corporate centrist. I will vote for him. I will vote for him as the lesser of two evils. I will not vote for Joe Biden. I will not vote for Genocide Joe. I will not give my rubber stamp of approval to a man whose brain is turning into porridge before America's very eyes. That is where I stand. That is my belief. And I have heard other people echoing this sentiment as well. I believe the ladies on The View recently said that they would prefer that Joe Biden be replaced with Gavin Newsom. I've heard other political pundits say that they believe Joe Biden should be replaced with Gavin Newsom. So I'm not bringing you something new here. What I am bringing you here is the perspective of a leftist who refuses to vote for Joe Biden, telling you what I will accept as the lesser of two evils. And that would be a Gavin Newsom or a Gavin Newsom type candidate. Joe Biden needs to be ousted. Joe Biden ain't it. Okay? That's what I have to say here today. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. I'm always eager to read your comments, read your thoughts, pick your brains. If you have any questions for me about what I just said to you, feel free to put them forth. I might not answer them, but I might. And until then,